Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Got question Chase, has got the facts, talking NFL numbers, he's got your back. A little chart trend ball, man, he's got it like that. Chasing data by do champions. Chasing data applies to everyone. Chasing data, yeah, we're live today. Chasing data for always. Chasing data by do champions.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Chasing Data. Had a few weeks off, but we're back into the swing of things. We've made it halfway through the power rankings in the offseason, and if you're new here, we're going through all 32 teams, 32 to 1, working in reverse order based on what I feel their offseason power rankings should be going into 2025. So, I mean, normally, let's talk about what's happened in the last few days before we get right into it. First off, Anthony Richardson, Indianapolis Colts. Is he even going to get a start this year? He has re-aggravated that same shoulder that he had surgery on that kept him out of his majority of his rookie season. And now they're saying it's inflamed now, but he may be back by training camp. Is the job just going to be Daniel Jones to begin with and never look back from there? You know, they brought Daniel Jones in to basically set the bar for how Anthony Richardson should play or be better, and he may not even get a chance to. We'll see what happens with that. It's going to be interesting. I mean, he's definitely in contention to be a Pittsburgh Steeler in 2026. Also, the other breaking news is not really that breaking, is Aaron Rodgers being signed by the Pittsburgh Steelers. And before we get into that, let's go ahead and look at our previous rankings. Let's see. There we go. Let's get this. There we go. So here's 16 through 32. I had the Steelers 22nd. This was before they had Aaron Rodgers. Where does it move them to? I mean, they only have DK Metcalf as a wide receiver or a passing threat. Freiermuth is there. I guess it's another threat, but I mean, okay, maybe you could put them ahead of the Falcons. Argue that. Seahawks potential because of the offensive line issues with Sam Darnold. Are you saying that Pittsburgh is better than Miami? Maybe. But that may be it right there, because Dallas, Arizona, Chicago, I mean, those teams, in my opinion, you could easily argue are in the same tier for sure and could possibly end up with the same record. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is not what he has been in years past. So we'll see what happens. I don't have like the highest of hopes of him playing in Pittsburgh and what he's actually going to change. And now they've had 5 straight seasons of having a week 1 starter be different. They had Ben Roethlisberger, then Mitch Trubisky, then Kenny Pickett, then Justin Fields, then Aaron Rodgers. So 5 seasons, 5 starters. And since 2022, Rodgers has 54 pass touchdowns. That's with only 1 pass attempt in 2023. The Steelers have the fewest passing touchdowns at 46. So they have 46, and they had 22, 23, 24. They had 3 full seasons, 46 passing touchdowns. Aaron Rodgers has 54 in 2 seasons. One last stat for him is the Steelers have lost 6 straight playoff games, their longest postseason losing streak in team history. And Aaron Rodgers hasn't won a playoff game since the 2020 divisional playoff, which was against the Rams in 2021, over 1,600 days ago. I mean, does it continue in Pittsburgh? Very, very possibly. But enough about them. Let's talk about the teams that we are here for. And if you can't tell who's going to be number 15, then I don't know what to tell you by the shirt and by the background. Go ahead and show it. Los Angeles Chargers. Number 15. I feel like, all right, 16 through probably 19 was a tier of its own. You could add it in the Steelers now. and now we're starting to get into another tier. I mean, now we have 14 teams make the playoffs each year. So each team from here on out is basically, I'm assuming that they're going to be right there in the playoff picture for sure, making the playoffs. And on the inside, for sure. I mean, 15 would be right outside looking in. So, I mean, that's one game. I mean, anything could change. And before we go on, let me see how many teams I have, NFC and AFC. AFC, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 AFC. And that would put me at 7 NFC. So that's about even, close enough. All right, so Los Angeles Chargers, number 15. Last season, and if you're new here, again, what we do is we're going to break down what they did last season, overview of last season, their additions, their subtractions, their draft class, what the projections look like for the 2025 season, discuss their schedule, and what I think is going to come of these teams in 2025. So last year, Los Angeles Chargers overachieved according to a lot. I mean, they were definitely, I want to say they were like plus 400 or so to make the playoffs. And they brought Jim Harbaugh in, and they got into that wild card position. We'll get to what happened in that playoff game shortly. But like I said, they were 11-6 last year. Their current over/under is 9.5 wins. They are plus 310 to win the AFC West, which is third in the division. So the Broncos have better odds than they do to win the division. Chiefs are the favorites, obviously. Plus 1,300 to win the AFC, which is the sixth best. I want to say I have them around 7th or 8th in the AFC, if we're talking here. Let's see. But they have six best odds as of right now, and they're plus 2,800 to become champions, which is not very high, honestly, when we're talking about the Chargers, because I mean, no one's really talking about them winning the championship this year. Last year they started 3-4, they won 4 straight, then they lose 3 of 4, and then they win 3 straight. Part of that losing streak was when Justin Herbert was out, so not a lot to look into that. You know, I mean, they were ahead in that Chiefs game. His ankle, lower leg injury. I think he rolled his ankle possibly or got tackled. Weirdly, if I remember correctly. But head coach is still Jim Harbaugh. This guy he's easily one of the top 5 coaches in the NFL. I mean, we look at what he did in San Francisco years back, and then what he came in and was able to do in Los Angeles in his first year it's crazy. He has coached for 5 seasons in the NFL now, and his team has never ranked any worse than 8th in plus minus turnovers in his 5 years as a head coach. His defense, as far as points per game allowed, the Chargers did not have a great defense roster-wise last year, and they allowed the least points per game, or secondly, sorry. At one point for the majority of the season, they had the fewest points per game allowed. So in his 5 seasons, he's second, third, 10th, and first in points per game allowed. Last playoff win for the Chargers was January 2019. As far as an overview of this team, looking at the offensive side to start with, we know that they ran the ball a lot. They had 320 yards per game, which was 20th in the league. They were 13th in scoring at 23 per game. A lot of that's due to the fact that Justin Herbert did not turn over the ball at all, hardly ever. 45% rush play percentage, which was 10th. So they ran the ball 10th most percentage-wise, but they were 5th from last in yards per carry at just 4 yards per carry. So we're going to talk more about that in a moment. But, you know, Greg Roman's your offensive coordinator. You know the ball is being ran down the opponent's throat. 7.6 yards per pass, which was 9th. But then they were 27th in passes per game, just over 30. 1.29 interception percentage, which was the 5th best. And part of that is skewed based on who else came in besides Justin Herbert. On the defensive side of the ball, 18.5 points per game, like I said, second best. 11th in yards per game allowed. They were number 4 in third down conversion. So when they got the teams to third down, they got off the field most of the time. Just over 1/3 of the third downs being converted into a first down. They allowed the fewest touchdowns per game, under 2 per game. Ideal for a defense, especially with the lack of talent that they had on there. 4.7 yards per game allowed. 6.8 yards per pass, which was top 4 in the league. So their defense, I'm telling you, it was overachieving for sure. Can they keep that up in 2025? We will see. Offensive coordinator, like I said, Greg Roman. He's been an offensive coordinator for 11 years now. So last year was the first time that his team ranked worse than 8th in rush yards. He's only ranked 4th as the lowest any of his other 10 years prior to last year. So he underachieved as offensive coordinator as far as the run game. And, to me, we thought as outsider looking in, J.K. Dobbins did have a great season, especially in comparison to what he's done in years past, actually staying on the field and being healthy and productive. Gus Edwards dropped off a little bit, but, the run game was decent, but not in Greg Roman terms. That's slightly skewed in the fact that he had Lamar Jackson too in some of those years. However, the negative on Greg Roman is he has ranked 28th or lower in pass attempts in 10 of his 11 seasons as offensive coordinator. So he's never passing the ball. So don't expect anything to change this year. He's been 28th or lower in 10 of his 11 seasons. The only season he did not was when he ranked 9th in Baltimore in 2021. So nothing's going to change. And defensive coordinator still Jesse Minter brought him in last year. With the defensive coach and Jim Harbaugh. Okay, so let's look at their depth chart. Additions. So when you look at this right here, orange is free agent signings. The pinkish lavender, whatever you want to call that, is draft picks. The teal-ish color, whatever, aqua, I don't know, is undrafted free agents. Blue is players that are returning from last year. So additions, they added Najee Harris. He's probably not even going to be the starter at this point. He is very consistent. He's had over 1,000 yards every year of his career. It's a 1-year, $5 million contract, 20th in average value. They brought back Mike Williams. Oh, God. I went to the offseason expecting the Chargers to do big, bold things to help Justin Herbert out. They're still kind of behind the 8 ball with that cap situation from years past, but they're working their way out of it. But bringing back Mike Williams is probably not going to do much. His last 2 years, he was injured 2 years ago. He's been injury prone the last few years, obviously, or his whole career. There's a knock on him whenever he came out of Clemson. 19 receptions. He has 40 receptions in the last 2 seasons, 548 yards and 2 touchdowns. Not ideal. When he's on the field and healthy, he is great. But the problem is he is not reliable. Real Deal Prime. Is this pen to paper? Appreciate you stopping by. So how reliable is he? He's going to be wide receiver 3, 4 on this team, or one would hope. No one's hoping that he's going to be more than that. You have Ladd McConkey, even though he may not be your prototypical wide receiver 1. He is going to get the most targets, I'm sure. Then you brought in Trey Harris. Quentin Johnston is probably wide receiver 3. You would hope he continues to grow. But yeah, Mike Williams, they added him. Tyler Conklin is who they added to the tight end room. They still have Will Dissly. They drafted Gadsden in the 5th round. Nothing great. Anybody could turn into anything, but still lacking some talent in the tight end room for sure. Mekhi Becton, probably the biggest signing for sure on this offensive side of the ball. He was great as a guard in Philadelphia last year. That offensive line played well. He played much better than what he did in New York, where he was drafted years past. But that is low-key a huge signing for the Los Angeles Chargers. The reason I say that is because you think back to their wild card game. It was wild card, right? Against the Texans. Yeah, wild card game. And the interior of that offensive line was god-awful. That was probably the worst game of Justin Herbert's career, and it was partially due – he can take the blame, but the other part of that was due to him being under constant pressure the entire game. With Tyler Conklin, last year he had 51 receptions, 449 yards, 4 touchdowns, which was arguably the best year of his career. 71% catch rate, almost 9 yards per catch, plus 3.8 receiving EPA. Decent. Better than Will Dissly, I would say. Get to the defensive side of the ball. They added Deshaun Hand. They added Dante Jackson. I mean, Dante Jackson spent 6 years in Carolina where he was not a household name, honestly. I mean, solid. Has a year in Pittsburgh. I mean, he's not your CB1, obviously, just a little more depth. He'd probably be a starter on this team, but nothing amazing. Gave up 4 touchdowns last year, 36 receptions, almost 570 yards, 73 rating. So, okay, a decent addition for this team. Who did they re-sign? A big one, Khalil Mack. Um, he was projected, I want to say by PFF, to get like a 3-year, $64 million contract, which was crazy being that he's 34 years old. I know the cap goes up every year and we have these more outrageous numbers every year. But giving him a 3-year contract at that type of money, I mean, he had a great season again last year, but he's 34 years old. When is it going to fall off? So they re-signed him on a 1-year, $18 million, which was amazing. 14th in average value when they signed him. Top end run D player last year. I mean, tons of pressures. His sacks were down, but he's still an amazing player. Definitely can affect a game a lot. 2.82 pressures per game, which is top 10%, I want to say it was. They re-signed Bradley Bozeman, 2-year, $7 million contract. They signed Andre James out of Las Vegas. Could he compete to be that starting center? I mean, they got Joe Alt last year. They got Rashawn Slater in 21. Zion Johnson just has not worked out at all. They drafted Branson Taylor in the 6th round. He could be starting maybe. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to configure this interior line. It's going to be Mekhi Becton, probably Bradley Bozeman, and then whoever is hot at the time, which is probably not going to be Zion Johnson. I did read that he may get some snaps at center. They're not picking up the 5th-year option on him. So his time in Los Angeles is coming to an end soon, I'm sure. They did add Benjamin St. Juste from the Commanders. If you hear about him, it's mostly due to him being like a meme or something. Nothing good. It's always a bad highlight, him getting roasted in the defensive backfield. So, looking at their draft, first round, it was mocked a lot, but if it wasn't going to be one of the tight ends in Tyler Warren or Colston Loveland, it was going to be a running back. And they do take the one that everyone expected them to take in Omarion Hampton. I had him as RB2 along with a lot of other people behind Ashton Genty. His comparison in the NFL is Breece Hall. He's that type of a player. He's got power. He's got quickness. He's got speed. He was 3rd in rush yards after contact last year, over 1,000 yards, 221, 4.46 40-yard time. He can break the long run. He's a receiving threat as well. He can pass block with the best of them in college football. So, I mean, that's going to translate well whenever that interior offensive line is not the best. Last year in college, he had 280 carries, 1,600 yards, which led the conference, 15 touchdowns, and almost 6 yards per carry. 2nd round, they take Trey Harris. And going back to that depth chart, he is what they needed to pair alongside Ladd McConkey. Ladd McConkey, he does work all 3 levels, but he's not necessarily a deep threat. Trey Harris is somebody who can be a deep threat on this team. Have him pictured left center alongside Marion Hampton. Ole Miss, in 2023, he led the team with almost 1,000 receiving yards, 54 receptions, over 18 yards per reception, 8 receiving touchdowns. That was in 12 games. Last year, he was 2nd team All-American, 3rd team All-SEC. He led the team with 60 receptions, and this is in 4 fewer games. So he had more receptions in 4 fewer games, more yards in 4 fewer games, and just 1 less touchdown. Had 8 games, and he missed 5 games due to the lower body injury that he had. 3rd round, Jamari Caldwell. Go back to the depth chart. See him going to probably get time. They draft him more than likely because they let Poona Ford, who is low-key underrated in that run D for this team. Gap filler for sure at the defensive tackle position, but they go out and get Jamari Caldwell. He's got a good build for a nose tackle, thick lower half, good athlete, impressive upper body strength like you would need in that defensive interior. Again, this is a place filler for Poona Ford walking out. 4th round, they go get Kyle Kennard. Kyle Kennard, Outside linebacker. Got good burst off the line of scrimmage. Solid rip move as a pass rusher. Twitchy, takes good angles. I mean, this is someone that they're trying to use to fill in with the loss of Joey Bosa, which we'll get into in just a minute. Outside of that, I mean, you got another wide receiver in the 5th round they took. Like I said, they took a guard in the 6th round, tight end. They do get undrafted DJ. I always mess it up every time I say it. They did also get Trey Lance. Could be competing for QB2. But outside of that, they get Mickens in the 6th round. Not a lot of starters. I mean, they got 2 starters on the offensive side of the ball, which, like I said, Justin Herbert did need help. Subtractions on this team. First and foremost, like the aforementioned person that I've already talked about, Joey Bosa. This was a move that had to be made, in my opinion. They saved $25 million by letting him go. He's played just 28 games in the last 3 seasons. That's right over 9 games per year. So he's missing, almost 8 games a year? Can't pay somebody that type of money. 10.5 sacks 4 years ago, 13 in the last 3. So that's 4.3 sacks per year when he had 10.5 4 years ago. Let Gus Edwards walk. He only saved $3 million, worst season of his career. They do not re-sign J.K. Dobbins. I guess they said, look, we got you for a year, got what we needed out of you, and that's all. See you later, friend. And they moved on. Good for them. I guess they do have Omarion Hampton. So we'll see what he can do. But like I said, J.K. Dobbins had his best season. He had only played in 24 games the first 3 years, plays in 13 last year. Has a career high yards on the ground, 905, 4.6 yards per carry, 9 touchdowns, which tied a career high. Second best rush yards over expected at plus 115. Still had a negative rush EPA, which was just the second time he's had that. I mean, when he was in Baltimore that rookie year, he had a plus 24. So, I mean, had a good year, but not enough to bring him back. Also, Asante Samuel Jr., still a free agent, surprisingly. If I'm correct, I want to say he had like some shoulder issue or something that was like delaying his signing. So, strengths of this team. Having a franchise quarterback is a strength for sure. You know, a lot of teams, when you look down here below, bring up this ranking, you get to about 25 and below, they don't have a franchise quarterback. So having a franchise quarterback is definitely a strength to have for sure. Justin Herbert, who has now played in the league, he's going into his sixth year. Last year was his best year as far as holding on to the ball. Was his best year as a quarterback. I mean, he only had 3,800 yards. I said he got injured. That was not last year. I was incorrect in that. He played all 17 games. But did he get injured? I want to say he did. 23 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, over 100 passer rating, plus 53 EPA, which was, I mean, top 8 in the league, I want to say. Sacked 41 times, though, career high for him. Time to throw was the highest of his career, plus 0.09 EPA per dropback. So having him is obviously great. Versus the blitz versus no blitz, no change. Same player, almost identical rating, 101.4 and 101.8. His EPA per dropback was over double when he was blitzed. So blitzing him does not do well for your team. He's a quick reader of the defense, get the ball out quickly, got that strong arm. This team last year was 10th in EPA per pass. So I said the top 8. So he was 10th. They were 7th in time to throw, 2.91. Scrambled a little more last year, I want to say. I don't have his rushing stats in front of me. They were middle of the pack in quarterback pressure percentage allowed at 33%, but 19th in sacks. Part of that makes me think it was due to Justin Herbert holding onto the ball to protect it in the sense. Like I said, he only had 3 interceptions. Interior offensive line was the issue, though. Another strength, your left and right tackle. Your coach and Jim Harbaugh, we spoke about him earlier. Derwin James is definitely a strength on defense. Still having Khalil Mack to rush the passer. The defense, if you just look at last year, but my question is, can they replicate it? They were 8th in EPA per play allowed at minus 0.09, 6th in EPA per pass, 9th in QB pressure, 6th in sacks at 46. But they had the second slowest time to pressure at 2.86. So every time they got back there, they basically finished the play, is what that says to me. It took them a while to get there, but once they're there, they're getting the sack. Weaknesses on this team is not having an outstanding. I mean, another strength is Ladd McConkey. I mean, he was arguably almost top 15 wide receiver in the NFL as a rookie. So what is he going to do in year 2? I mean, it can't be any worse as far as the talent around him to help open him up even more, or open those guys up for sure. But not having a true strength outside of Justin Herbert. Like, I mean, they do not have like an all-pro type player. Tackles maybe this year. But Derwin James, if he's healthy, so not many strengths to argue about. They're just mediocre everywhere, which, I mean, got the job done versus what was expected in 2024. But Herbert raises the floor of what they can do as a team. The run game was a weakness last year, honestly. They ran a lot. 21st in explosive rush plays, which is 10-plus yards on the ground. Like I said, 9th in rush percentage. 5th highest stuff rate. That is plays that get stopped at or behind the line of scrimmage, 19.7%. So almost one out of every 5 runs was stopped at the line of scrimmage or behind it. 29th in success rate, as far as runs go. Just curious to see what this team does going into this year with their cap situation. They have the 6th least committed. They finally getting out from under some of that money. No real bad contracts. The top contracts they're paying right now is Herbert, Khalil Mack, Derwin James, Rashawn Slater, and everyone else is under $10 million per year. They have almost $28 million in cap space. As far as who's available, that's the 13th most. As far as who's still available, who could they bring in? The likes of, I mean, Asante Samuel's still there. It might be more than what they want to pay. Mike Hilton, Brandon Scherf, interior presence on the offensive line. I think they're going to roll with what they have. They're not bringing J.K. Dobbins back. Stephon Gilmore, maybe if they get him on a cheap deal to bring him in. But I think they've done a few things they don't really want to add. They added Bud Dupree already. That's pretty much it, in my opinion. It's just another cornerback potentially to bring in. Let's see. Let me get back where I was at. Okay, so we got to speed this up. All right, they're 22nd in dead cap money right now. Joey Bosa's taking up most of that. It's $15 million. Okay, it's their schedule. Let's look at their schedule. 11th hardest strength of schedule. Most miles by any team, over 37,000, 3,000 more than anyone else. Week 1 is in Brazil. They play the Kansas City Chiefs, and they're 3-19 versus Kansas City since 2014. 7 of the 9 games with Justin Herbert are one-score games, but they're 1-6 in those games. At Las Vegas, Week 2, Monday Night Football. That's 3 straight AFC West games to open the season. That's the first since the 22 Saints to have 3 straight divisional games because they played Denver in Week 3. The Chargers did it in 1988 where they had 5 straight. They played 5 divisional games to open the season. Week 4 at New York Giants, that is. Week 5, Washington. Week 6 at Miami. We're going to do this a little fast tonight because we got 2 teams. A 1-2 record versus Miami with Justin Herbert. Week 7, Indy, which may be an easy game at this point. Week 8, Minnesota, Thursday Night Football. They have 3 primetime games this year. Week 9 at Tennessee. Week 10, Pittsburgh, which is Sunday Night Football, which is actually a better game now. They have Aaron Rodgers over Mason Rudolph. Week 11 at Jacksonville. Week 12 is a bye. They had a Week 5 bye the last 2 seasons, so moving off that early bye is great for them. Week 13, Las Vegas at home. Week 14, Philadelphia, Monday Night Football. And this is the toughest part of their schedule, starting right here, these next 3 games. Monday Night Football versus Philadelphia. Then Week 15 at KC. Week 16 at Dallas. Week 17, Houston. And then Week 18 is at Denver. So that 5-game stretch is just terrible. So let's do a quick rundown of what we expect their record to be. All right. KC, they've struggled against them. We know that. 3-19. That's a loss. We're going to chalk it up as a loss. Las Vegas, they should win. Denver, let's say they split. At the Giants, they should win. Washington, going to be tough. At Miami, they should win on paper. Indy, don't care who the quarterback is, they should win. Minnesota, between them and Washington, they should win one of those two. At Tennessee, they should win. Pittsburgh, I mean, I know Aaron Rodgers is there, but there's still some weaknesses on that team. Jacksonville, they're taking a step forward, but not that big of a step. Las Vegas, again, they could potentially take both games in the season. Philadelphia, don't think so right now. Kansas City, no. Dallas, Houston, Denver. They may win one of these 5 games. If they do, that'd be great because going into this, they would have 10 wins whenever they get to week 14 based on what I'm looking at. But then they could go 1-4 to end the season. Which, I mean, if you tell me if you're a Chargers fan and you're 11-6 to end the season, you take that no matter how you get there, probably. If you're just don't know anything about the Chargers, their top players, just names you should know. Justin Herbert, quarterback. Ladd McConkey, wide receiver 1. Rashawn Slater, Khalil Mack, Derwin James. Know those guys? You're getting a good basis for the Los Angeles Chargers roster. So with each team, I look at their MVP, every other award to see who has the best odds on their team. MVP, Justin Herbert plus 1,800. He's also, I had to overlook that. Ladd McConkey has to be the favorite on their team for Offensive Player of the Year. Defensive Player of the Year, the best odds were the same between Khalil Mack and Derwin James at plus 15,000. Offensive Rookie of the Year, this is a good thing to, if you're taking a bet, is this. Omarion Hampton at plus 1,000. Defense was Caldwell at plus 15,000. Coach of the Year, Jim Harbaugh, which had the 11th best odds at plus 2,200. I mean, he would have to win the division, honestly, to win that award. Him getting to the playoffs is not going to win it for him after they made the playoffs last year. Who could be the most improved player on this roster? Is it Quentin Johnston? Could he take another step like he did last year from year 1 to year 2? Or Benjamin St-Juste? St-Juste has been terrible, so anything would be most improved potential. Weird fact about Quentin Johnston, Trey Harris, and Ladd McConkey. All 3 of them are 23 years old, and all 3 are in a different year of their career. Got one in their first, second, and third year. So Trey Harris is coming in as a seasoned veteran at this point. Drop-off candidates for this team. Mike Williams continues to stay injured. Khalil Mack, age catches up to him. X factors. I just wanted to say the defense just holding up just in general with no like outstanding talent out of the ones that I've mentioned already. But honestly, to me, the X factor for this team is Mekhi Becton if he can play to the level that he played in Philadelphia. If he can do that, that's going to do wonders for this team. Maybe even Trey Harris could be the X factor if he can come in and be that wide receiver 2 opposite of Ladd McConkey. Outcomes for this team as we finish the Los Angeles Chargers. So I go through the best, worst, and my realistic expected outcome. This is all these have realism included. We're not going to get crazy. All right, best outcome for this team is that Justin Herbert is a top 5 quarterback, takes care of the ball like he did last year, takes fewer sacks. Ladd McConkey takes another step alongside Trey Harris. It's not unheard of. Trey Harris, second-round pick. Ladd McConkey could be a top 10 receiver if Trey Harris is a top 35, 40 receiver. I mean, oh, Lord. He and Omarion Hampton are instant additions to this offense. We know they're still going to run the ball with Greg Roman, probably to the same amount. He's not changing his ways. The offensive line is average or better on the interior offensive line. You got your 2 bookend tackles. The defense is average, and they're playing for the wild card, no questions asked. Outside of an injury to Mahomes, they're not winning the division. I just don't foresee that happening. I mean, until Kansas City proves us wrong, you just got to assume that Kansas City is going to win the division. That could be a 12-win season and still be a wild card, though. Worst case scenario, Greg Roman holds the offense back. Omarion Hampton can't succeed because everyone is expecting run from this team. Quentin Johnston is still bad. He did not take another step forward. Trey Harris, don't hit with him. Mike Williams is hurt. So you don't really have weapons because your tight end room is not going to give you too much weaponry. Defense is still reeling from issues in years past. I mean, they were good, but I don't know how much they can replicate that. The floor for this team with Justin Herbert is probably 7-10, honestly. So not terrible, but not what you want to hear if you're a Chargers fan. What I expect to happen, Justin Herbert is about the same top 10 quarterback. They don't push the pass game yet again because here we are. Greg Roman, rinse and repeat, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. They improve in the run game, but they're still going to be running it down your throat because they're going to be doing it over and over. The defense regresses a little bit. They can't replicate what they did last year. They could be an average team, average defense, and then you're fighting the Denver Broncos. I said 11-6, but I maybe 10-7 for that last wild card position. And we're going into 2026, hoping for more on the offense and maybe taking a step forward on defense. it still could be a year away in Los Angeles as far as the Chargers being able to compete, which is fine. Justin Herbert's still young. He's only going into his 6th season. Plenty of time left. So that was the Los Angeles Chargers, team number 15 in my power rankings. So we're going to take a quick break, hear from our sponsors, and then we will be right back with team number 14.
For the best Italian food in Western New York, Elliot Apollos, call 716-825-3675. The Lardon Construction Group.
Fubo TV, the official streaming service of Do Champions. FanDuel, the official sportsbook of Do Champions.
For all your summertime needs, beauty pools, as well as kayak pools.
CX Chronicles, your total customer solutions focused manager. W.GG, the official energy drink of Do Champions.
Hey, Sons of Erie, our artwork looks better on your walls. Hamburg Brewing, please visit our tap room on Boston State Road, Hamburg, New York. And finally,
Fat Boy Surf Club for all your surfing needs.
All right. So, the background basically tells you already who is team number 14. And let me get this posted on Twitter, and we will get right into the San Francisco 49ers. The more that I did digging on this team and, prepping for this, the more I kind of questioned where I had them. But they did lose a lot of talent this year. They're taking a step back potentially. They've already had their seasons of, how should I say it? Their chances in the Super Bowl and everything like that. So, like I said, team number 14, San Francisco 49ers. So that puts, quite a few teams ahead of them in the NFC, but they could easily make it up. I'm just, their health injury scares me. They're getting older. Kyle Shanahan has maybe ran his course. Not necessarily, but, to make them team number 14, which will get them in the playoffs. Based on this top 14 team, we're just looking at a grand scheme. Top 14 teams make the playoffs. So they're the last ones in, according to this. But last season, they were 6-11. Again, injury-riddled team. Don't look too much into that record. Their over-under this year is 10.5, 4.5 more games than what they had last year. They're currently the favorites to win the NFC West. I have them as the second best team in the NFC West, but arguably could be number one. They're plus 150 to win the West. They're plus 1,000 to win the conference, which is 4th best. I understand the argument for them being that high as far as betting goes. They have the 7th best odds to win the Super Bowl. So 7 spots ahead of me as far as power rankings go. But I'm just not there yet. I'll definitely eat my words come December, and they're atop the division. There's definitely a path for that, especially with the Rams being one injury away from not having a quarterback and being the worst team in the division. Last year, they started 5-4, and then they lost 7 of their last 18, just crumbled. I feel like it started, or maybe it's just a point that sticks out, is when they played in Buffalo, and that game was god-awful for the offense. Buffalo went up and down the field, but San Francisco could not do anything. Head coach Kyle Shanahan, yet again, 17 seasons now as an offensive coordinator and a head coach. Only twice has he been below 16th in yards per game as far as an offense goes. Top 5 9 times as a play caller. Not a long playoff drought for this team. They were just in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, losing to Kansas City Chiefs. They have not had Kyle Shanahan has not had back-to-back losing seasons since 2017-18, which is the Niners. Don't expect it to happen this year either. Last year, even though they had so many injuries that we will get into, 14th in points per game, 23 points per game. 3rd in yards per play. Crazy. 3rd down conversion was a top 10 team. 7th in yards per carry at 4.7. They did not pass the ball that much. I mean, how much was that? How much of that was due to the fact that Brock Purdy had no weapons to throw to? Because I'm surprised that they were 20th in pass play percentage because they were 3rd in yards per pass attempt, yards per pass, whatever. 8.3. Brock Purdy was slinging the rock. That's why he gets that great contract, that huge extension. They were 3rd in pass yards per game, even though they were 20th in pass play percentage. On the defensive side of the ball, this is where the problems lie. They were there last year, and they're still there to an extent for sure in 2025. They were 4th worst in points per game allowed, almost 26. 7th worst in yards per game. I mean, 7th worst in 3rd down conversion percentage, allowing a conversion rate of 43%. Red zone scoring percentage, this is a touchdown. Next to last, 68%. God awful. I mean, it just was not good for this defense. So they had their worst points per game in 5 years. They had their worst point differential in 6 years, and had their most points per game allowed in 8 years. So all around, just not a good year compared to where they've been. Clay Kubiak is offensive coordinator. We know it's Kyle Shanahan, whatever. He was pass game specialist last year. His first year as an offensive coordinator. Cool, good for him. Robert Saleh is the defense coordinator. They bring him back after he was there and excelled extremely on the defensive side of the ball whenever he was there. We know what happened in New York. He got the head coach job, and things kind of fell through after. He was 2nd and 5th in yards per game allowed in those last 2 seasons in San Francisco. All right, their depth chart. Looking at who they added, and another reminder, the orange-yellow is free agents. Pinkish-purple is draftees. Teal is undrafted free agents that they signed. Red is people who are, is it IR on the PUP list? I don't know if it's even official, but they're injured. We just know they're injured. Additions. Offensive side of the ball. Start from the top. Demarcus Robinson, wide receiver 4 on this team. Yeah, wide receiver 4. You would hope. You hope Ricky Pearsall is definitely not wide receiver 4. But when is Ayuk coming back as part of that? He should be back towards the start of the season, I want to say. Demarcus Robinson comes from the Rams. Didn't get much work over there, but wasn't a good piece. I mean, he had 31 receptions, 500 yards, 7 touchdowns. That's what I think. I mean, I want to say he had 1, maybe 2 multi-touchdown games. I know he had 1 for sure. Positive receiving EPA. He has 81 yards after the catch. Good God. And not ideal. Anyways, all right, Mac Jones is there as QB2. Kyle Shanahan finally gets the guy that he was speculated to draft in that Trey Lance draft a few years back. They just recently, all right, that's the offensive side of the ball. They get Luke Farrell. I mean, that's not a great anything special. Andre Dillard comes in, backup left tackle for Trent Williams. Trent Williams is a focal point of this offense. Not really talked about too much with all the weapons that they've had over the years, but arguably the most important piece of this offense. Defensive side of the ball, they bring in Bryce Huff. They trade for him this week from Philadelphia. Didn't play too much. Maybe got behind that great front four that they had in Philadelphia, had just 2.5 sacks, but 2 years ago is when he had that breakout season as a specialized pass rush specialist, I should say, in New York, where he only played 42% of the snaps in New York, but had 10 sacks, which is crazy, crazy, crazy. Still played 40% last year, but only 2.5 sacks. So the production dropped down. Philadelphia's out on him. They get rid of him, even though they've lost some front four players in their own house. Trey Brown is brought in as a cornerback. Played about 50% of the snaps in Seattle. Nothing great. So they're just taking people from all within the division. They get Brown from Seattle, Demarcus Robinson from the Rams. I mean, they extended Fred Warner. They keep their big guys happy. Well deserved. I mean, this guy, Jesus, he has like a 93 plus per playtime percentage snap rate every year of his career. I mean, he is a prototypical. If you want to build a linebacker, he is what you want. He, Roquan Smith. Who else? That's 1 and 2. No one else is up there with him. I mean, he is top linebacker in the NFL, in my opinion. Their draft. So let's bring up. I didn't have their draft pick on here. I thought I had their draft pick. Okay, regardless, you can see it right here. So their draftees in the first round, they take Mykel Williams. I had him ranked a little lower than other people, but his comp in the NFL is Trayvon Walker. He's a powerful pass rusher with length and strength. He can bulk up if you wanted him to. I would think he could add a little more weight. He wasn't really used much necessarily with that Georgia rotation that they did. Played through an ankle injury, 9 tackles for loss, 5 sacks. You're kind of betting on the athleticism upside of what you can get out of him. Second round, they get Alfred Collins. This is sneaky, a very solid pick for that interior defensive line because their run D, you don't want to talk about that in 2024. So he could be an X factor, honestly, on this defense. Third round, they get Upton Stout, which, I mean, you look at him. Nickelback is what they have him on here. I mean, he may get some playing time. I don't know, especially with, I don't know, well, Mustafa was safety. So we'll see. But anyways, twitchy athlete. I mean, great acceleration, closes quickly on the ball. He's aggressive. He has versatility to play slot and outside cornerback, so you can move him around. Fourth round, they go get CJ West. Excuse me. Another D tackle, and then they get Jordan Watkins, a wide receiver. I mean, solid get off time for CJ West. Physical at the point of attack. He's agile as well. So, I mean, they're trying to solidify that run game, which is a problem in 2024. No one else really to write home about. Nick Martin in the third round, a linebacker. See what he can do. Who did they lose? They cut Leonard Floyd. I mean, he did have 9.5 sacks, which was his best season, arguably. But was it a fluke? I mean, maybe that's what they're believing, especially being that they have Nick Bosa, who is often injured. So we shall see how that works. They do go get Mykel Williams, Bryce Huff. So your Tur Gross Matos is there. Let's see what happens with that defensive line. Kyle Juszczyk is finally out the door. Save $4 million and letting him walk. They traded away Deebo Samuel. Everybody who has seen the 49ers play knew he was out the door somehow. Trade him for a day 3 pick in Washington. I think it was a 4th rounder. I mean, you look at his stats. Last year was his worst season that in games that he was able to play. He had that injury-filled season in 2020, his second season where he only played 6 games. But every other season, he's played 12 or more. That was his second lowest receiving amount. Third lowest touchdowns. I mean, he just was not being utilized. It was his worst receiving EPA. He did not run the ball like he used to. Just 51 receptions, almost 700 yards, 3 touchdowns. So solid, but not for what they were expecting out of him. Strength on this team. Again, having a franchise quarterback in Mr. Irrelevant, which is one of the craziest things that's happened in the last decade as far as drafting goes in any sport. You have Brock Purdy. He gets that huge contract. So worth it. So worth it. 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions last year. But those numbers are not what you his EPA, he had a plus 67 EPA, positive plus 0.13 EPA per dropback. Those numbers, I'm telling you, the 12 interceptions, it's not all on him. Let me bring up some of the things that I've discussed on Twitter about Brock Purdy. Do I have him on here? No, oh well, whatever. I mean, all the statistics are in his favor. He's a great quarterback. He had 3,800 yards, and this is with no weapons last year. Injuries, I mean, just all around. Kyle Shanahan being a coach is a strength of this team. They were 8th in EPA per play, 4th in pass yards per game, 8th in EPA per pass, 7th in EPA per rush, 6th in time to throw, 20th in sacks, which is good, in a good number. So they did not have a lot of sacks. They were last in average separation. So that shows you Purdy was playing with no one getting open. No one was getting open on this team. An average separation of 3.1 yards. Playing with no one. Also, Christian McCaffrey only played 4 games last year. So Brock Purdy was, I know I'm sidetracking a little bit. We're talking about strengths. But he's a strength because he had no weapons last year. You think about how many contested balls that people brought down. I mean, Jawan Jennings had a breakout season. He's the one that comes to mind for sure. But, I mean, he had no weaponry. They have George Kittle, who gets a new contract as well. That's a strength. They have the best linebacker in their league, like I said, in Fred Warner. They have arguably the best running back in the league when he's healthy, and Christian McCaffrey. He's on the other side of his prime as a running back, as far as running back goes. When Brandon Ayuk is there, I mean, he's a top 20 wide receiver. Nick Bosa, what is he? Top 5 edge when healthy? I mean, you could argue higher than that. So they have a ton of strengths on this team. This team's roster is not lacking star power for sure. It's just having the ability to keep them on the field. Weakness number 1 is the injury to Malik Mustafa. So good last year, and him being out for this, I want to say he's out for the season when he tears ACL, I want to say. Was ACL? Not sure. Something not ideal. The defense is a weakness. I mean, we found out that Fred Warner played through, what was a broken ankle or something, torn ligament, something. It was something to do with the foot, and he played through it the entire season. They were 20th in EPA per play, 20th in EPA per rush. This is allowed as far as the defense goes. They were average against the pass, 22nd in sacks. So they were not good anywhere. I mean, we hold this defense to a high standard based on what they've done in the past, and they could not do that in 2024. The health in general was a weakness. At running back, they had over 32 adjusted games lost. That was the second most all time since this is being tracked as far as games lost for the running back position. So all time bad season as far as injury luck. They ranked 31st in offensive games lost, adjusted games lost. So next to most on the offensive side, and third most on the defensive side of the ball, which was absolute opposite from 2023 when they won the NFC, made the Super Bowl, and they were 4th in fewest games lost. So whenever the injury bug hit, it completely flipped their season, as we saw with them last year, finishing 6-11. Going over their cap real quick, they have the second most committed cap. I mean, they have no bad contracts. Trent Williams, Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk is the highest contracts for 2025. They have $49 million in cap space. So how do they have so much committed when they have so much cap space? It's because they have $90 million in dead cap, which is the most in the NFL. Debo is $34 million. Eric Armstead, $15 million. Tarvarius Ward, 12, Leonard Floyd, 8. Here's the good part for them. I mean, part of their over-under being 10.5 and probably affecting part of the thing that affects their odds in their favor is that they have the easiest strength of San Francisco has the easiest strength of schedule in the NFL. Opponents have a 41% win percentage. It's the easiest schedule since the 2015 Falcons out of anyone. So 10 years This is the easiest schedule. Crazy. Combined record of the last 11 teams with the easiest schedule each season is 88 and 93. Only 5 have made the playoffs. So just because you have an easy schedule, it doesn't guarantee anything, honestly. Less than half of them made the playoffs. But the Niners should and will be on the other side of that statistic, making the playoffs this year. All right, running through their schedule. They have 5 primetime games. Week 1 at Seattle, have won 6 of the last 7, and they're 4-2 in their last 6 openers. Week 2 at New Orleans. Saints were one of the worst teams against the run last year, so whoever is not injured will run all over them. Week 3, Arizona. Arizona had 4 interceptions last year, a third of the interceptions against Brock Purdy. San Francisco was -5 in the turnover battle versus them. So, I mean, just did not play them well. Week 4, Jacksonville at home could easily open the season 4-0. I don't want to say it too loud, but 4-0 is possible when you look at these first 4 weeks. Healthy and easy matchups. Week 5, Thursday night football at the Los Angeles Rams. Early matchup to look toward what the outcome of the season is going to be. They have a 6-game stretch starting here. It's beginning here in week 5 with that Rams game. Then they go on the road for 4 or 5 weeks. And then they have 2 tough opponents sandwiched in between their 2 games with the Rams. So they have Rams week 5, week 6 at Tampa Bay, week 7 Atlanta, week 8 Houston, week 9 very winnable game at New York, the Giants that is. Week 10 Los Angeles Rams at home. The Rams have won the last 3 matchups. Week 11 at Arizona. Week 12 Monday Night Football against Bryce Young and the Panthers. Week 13 Cleveland. Week 14 bye, a very, very, very late bye to get ready for that playoff push in 2025. Come off the bye against Tennessee. Good luck to Cam Ward. Week 16 at Indy. Monday Night Football against Daniel Jones. Week 17, Chicago Bears, Sunday Night Football. Week 18, to be determined time against the Seattle Seahawks. So let's run through that schedule again and predict each game based on like face value of these rosters. Week 1 at Seattle, Nick Bosa better eat against this offensive line and in Seattle and Sam Darnold. If they come out and get torched and picked apart by Sam Darnold, it is not going to be a good indicator for this defense for the entirety of 2025. Week 2, New Orleans. That if they lose that game, Niners fans need to start rioting. Week 3, Arizona should bounce back from where they were last year against Arizona. Very winnable game. Week 4, Jacksonville should win. Talked about Jacksonville earlier. Rams. Let's say they split the season series with them. Tampa Bay is going to be a tough one to go on the road, especially after playing the Rams in week 5. So they're 5-1 at this point. Atlanta, they should win. Houston, toss-up. Let's give them a toss-up. So Giants should win. Rams, we said split. Week 11, Arizona, so we split that one too. Let's not get too crazy with the Niners. Week 12, Carolina, they should win that. Cleveland, yes, absolutely. Tennessee, yes, absolutely. Indy, yes. And then let's say they split Chicago and Seattle. That right there has them at 11-6. And I think that's being a little lenient. They could go better than that because this schedule is not hard. They could be 12-5 for sure. As long as they stay healthy. 13-4 is on the table too. So like how I did with the go back full screen here. There we go. So like I did with the Los Angeles Chargers, if you are not a Niners fan and you're just new to this, trying to figure out who are the key players on the San Francisco 49ers roster. Number 1, Brock Purdy, last pick in the draft a few years ago, and is their franchise quarterback now. Brandon Ayuk, wide receiver 1 whenever he's back healthy. Christian McCaffrey, top 5 running back in the NFL whenever he's healthy. Nick Bosa, top 5 DN whenever he's healthy. Trend here. There's a trend. Trent Williams, one of the best, if not the best left tackle when he's healthy. He is getting up in age, though. Fred Warner, LB1 for me in the NFL. All right, MVP and most improved players. MVP, Brock Purdy plus 3,000, best odds. Offensive player of the year, Christian McCaffrey plus 2,200. It's hard to bet that, especially with the injury history. You're basically betting on his injury luck. Because if he's healthy, he's definitely those numbers probably drop to plus 1,000. Nick Bosa, best odds at plus 2,000. No offensive rookie of the year odds that were listed. Defensive rookie of the year, Michael Williams at plus 1,400. I mean, he's got a good opportunity to come in and play opposite of Nick Bosa and have a lot of one-on-one matchups. Kyle Shanahan had the 17th highest odds for coach of the year at plus 3,000. I mean, like, he's nothing new. He's not a new story. So unless they go like 17-0, 16-1, he is not going to win coach of the year. Most improved players, Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, based on the fact if they can stay healthy, they will be most improved as far as the stat line goes. Drop-off candidates, Christian McCaffrey, based on injury. Is he over those issues that he went to Germany for in 2024? Trent Williams, he's getting up in age. I hope he's not a drop-off candidate, because if he is, we got problems, which leads me to my X factor for this team. Trent Williams. This team will go as far as his health will take them. If he is out, they are going to be struggling to finish 500 is my prediction. If he's there, anything's possible. Wide receiver room could be as injured as it was last year. Running backs can't be as bad as they were last year. So as long as Trent Williams there, that's the X factor for the outcomes of this team. And to finish up, let's do our outcomes for the San Francisco 49ers. Best outcome for San Francisco is Purdy shows everyone why he got the contract. He's a top 5 quarterback with the weapons around him. Christian McCaffrey plays at least 10 games this year. James Jordan, who they drafted this year, is in waiting, so he will probably get some run for sure, regardless of Christian McCaffrey's injury status. Brandon Ayuk is fine. The emergence of Juwan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall as wide receiver 3 is going to do numbers for this offense. The O-line is above average. Trent Williams stays healthy. Defense is top 12 with Robert Saleh back. If all that comes to fruition, there's nothing stopping them from winning the division and the NFC at that point. I mean, this is not far-fetched for them to be the top team in the NFC. Worst case scenario, injuries are back again, baby. They back like they never left. Rams are too much for them to handle with the likes of Matthew Stafford, Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua. I mean, just who's keeping up with that? The pass D is still struggling, especially with the injuries they already have. The floor for them is probably 7-10 unless they just add the injuries, the historical number of injuries that they had in 2024. And if that happens, it's probably wraps for Kyle Shanahan. Realistic outcome, Brock Purdy is about the 8th best quarterback stat-wise. The running back room is a mess. James Jordan is probably RB1 by the end of the year. The D is average or maybe a little bit worse. Fred Warner, Nick Bosa can only cover so many issues on this team. And they're finishing the season fighting with the Los Angeles Rams for the NFC West. No one else. It's a tough division, though. I mean, every week, the worst team could be the best team or second best team in some of these divisions. Like the AFC South, they could be competing. Seattle could be possibly competing. Nah, not with Houston, no. I won't go that far. They'd be the second best team for sure. NFC South, they could possibly compete some games with Tampa Bay. So I have them finishing around 11-6, which is about where, if you're a wild card team, 10-7, 11-6 is what you have to be to get in. They're going to make the playoffs either as a division winner or a wild card at minimum. It depends on how much these teams beat up on each other in the NFC West as whether they finish 10-7 and win the division or 11-6 and make the wild card. Let's bring up the rankings again. So like I said, they're 14. The teams that I have, all the way up to 9. Like, honestly, I struggled from 9 through 14 being a tier of its own. these teams, you could argue and I could flip my opinion honestly on any day that the Niners could be anywhere all the way up to number 9 going into 2025. But I have them as 14 right now. It could change before the season gets here because I update these weekly as things happen. So next week, the Steelers will take a jump or two, go up a spot or two. I mean, these other teams are pretty much set in stone. I don't think much is going to change them. I mean, Indy could possibly drop with Daniel Jones being the starter. You know, I had some slim hope that Anthony Richardson would be there and couldn't be any worse than what he was in the first 2 years. But that's all for another week of Chasing Data. Be sure to follow at King NFL Stats on every social media network. That's X, that's Instagram, that's TikTok. TikToks, I try to post as many videos as I can, breaking down things I've covered or whatever breaking news comes up. Follow Do Champions. There's Do Media, but it's Do Champions on everything. At Do Champions. They're Buffalo Bills focused. I'm in here to give a little more outsider view. But if you're a Buffalo Bills fan, go follow them. And until next week, where we find out who teams number 13 and 12 are, be sure to like, subscribe on YouTube, and we'll catch you then. Thanks for stopping by.